Miwege duchgadek penma tamadeganon. We'll start this morning with the NAN drum, and then I'd like to invite our Elder Stella Shimmons to come up and do the opening prayer. So good morning, everyone, and I'd like to call on the NAN drum to open us up in a good way. Miigwech. Miigwech. I'd like to call upon Elder Stella Shimmons to open with a prayer.
Wajek. Yanaskuma Kshamandu Ubaga Kagishka Kakshipaya. Yanaskuma Kshamandu Agibajimili Minoma Kagishagaka. Ibajimili Yakmina Matsuan. Yanaskuma Kshamandu. Yanaskuma Kshamandu Mina Ewaptamakoma Agishagak. Yanaskuma Maganista Kshamandu. Udeit ibeji itaya koda. Keji nakskatiak. Kuyes keji amhidiak. Kuyes magenagstayak. Uma matsiwan gabeji milguyak. Umanista abetsiwan gabeji astegoda. Kuyes keji nagstagno. Washishakuche. Naskumak shemendo genagachat. And he Wakanagar mi matsuno. Gemska kik. Wakutuan. Egumaganesta. Siwatsuan. Kuyeske kejimbalta Jacob matsuno. Nagatelemik mswe wakanak. Kshehawak. Sko. Nabel. Skatsisak. Egumaganesta. Jijishak. Nenaskumun, Egimus Koganut, Kawan Haganut Washington de Quebec, Takshikimus Koganut, Inaskamun maganama igispalik. Ksist tatara kaniki unhi konde megaj kalam sujik kajinhi megajunach. Ksist tara yamchige dag megajunama ispalik. Inaskamun maganista Mr. Day Tayek Kuyasbugo Genagach Tayeguma Abatsiwan. Naskuma maganista kshementu kebejuichiak Genagastayak Aski Nibimaga. Egonde Mandana Yoshab Machi Yokanwa Misen Higakona Uyashishak Sesabago Yokana Nibishanesta Nestan he Kakstabish Sigi Misten Higakana Gabach Tayak Yoshab Machu Uyak. Irnaskum Kshemento Bejinagachina and Nuchkagishak Irnaskum Dimistahi Kshemento Miwich.
Miigwech, Ganaskamin, Kchiha, Elder Stella Shimmons. Ga Gzebayim Hein, Gzebayim Tsugi. So again, good morning, chiefs, delegates that are here in the room, also joining online virtually. We have a number of chiefs that are joining through Teams. We will continue in an open forum for the next little bit. We'll make a slight modification to the agenda. Of course, yesterday, I'm not going to do a full recap of yesterday's proceedings, but we did go in camera yesterday morning, and we stayed in camera throughout the assembly. Of course, I'd like to reiterate the importance and the reason for going in camera. There are negotiations happening nationally. Of course, those are internal negotiations. We're having an internal strategy discussion. It's very important that while that's happening, that everything be kept internal. We don't want the other parties or the other side hearing our internal discussions. It's important to openly talk about how we feel. And once decisions are made, of course, those will be made public. This morning, again, the slight change. What I'm going to do is we have a number of individuals that have openly declared their candidacy for Ontario Regional Chief. Okay. Of course, the process is we don't actually know who's officially nominated until the day before because of the process that's followed at the Chiefs of Ontario. But many individuals have declared their candidacy, and a number of them are here. So I'm going to invite those. Maybe it's your first time declaring your candidacy. I don't know, but I'd like to invite you to come up. What we'll do is we'll give you 2 minutes, very informal, but I will run my timer. I'll give you a nudge, but I'm not, we'll do it respectfully. But please come up, have a seat, and we'll give everyone 2 minutes just to introduce yourself and say hello. I'll run my timer, give you a nudge, but just an opportunity to inform the chiefs that you are running for Ontario Regional Chief. So, miwege dujgadik. And again, we are joined in the room by chiefs. Just to let the candidates know, we do have a number of chiefs that are joining virtually, and we are being webcast as well. So again, this is very informal. We didn't have a list ahead of time. So although I know the individuals that are here, I'm going to get them to actually introduce themselves and again, give them 2 minutes each. I'm going to Okay, just a reminder from Grand Chief. Also, just to let you know, yesterday we did have Chief Rudy Turtle here in the Assembly. He has also officially declared his candidacy and will be running as for the position of Ontario Regional Chief. My understanding is current Regional Chief Glenn Hare will also be letting his name stand as part of the election. So just to let you know, there are two other individuals that have publicly declared their candidacy. But with that, I'm going to open it up, and I'll start with the order that they've approached the podium. Grand Chief Benedict, and again, introductions and just a chance to say hello. So, yeah.
Good morning to all of you. I want to acknowledge the elder this morning for the prayer, and thank all of you for the opportunity for a few minutes to introduce ourselves to you. My name is Abram Benedict. I'm currently the Grand Chief for the Mohawk Council of Akwesasne, which is a Mohawk community. Now we're south of Ottawa, now we're west of Montreal. I've been in that role for about 9 years as the Grand Chief, and 9 years as a member of council prior to that. So I'm now wrapping out at the end of June, 18 years of community leadership. And as I move towards the next chapter as a community leader, I have decided that I'd like to advance and perhaps be the next Ontario Regional Chief. And I know that, you know, as a community leader, our time is very demanding. There's lots on us. The community has a lot of pressure on us to work through today's issues, to work through the challenges that our community face, but also the opportunities. And I believe that the Ontario Regional Office can do a lot better for serving our communities. And I can attest, you know, as being a community and in this region, that we need advocacy, we need relationship building, we need a leader that's going to have those linkages to the province. And we, as elected chiefs in our community, are not able to be there. And so that I believe that the role of the regional office is to do that for you and to create those opportunities, those relationships, so that when you have those challenges with the mining companies, the challenges with emergency management, that you can call the regional office and they can immediately call minister or bureaucrat or somebody in the government that's going to be able to answer and respond. Because it seems as though a lot of times as a region, whether it be in the north or in central or in the east or in the south, we're really reacting to situations and we're not being proactive. And I think that the regional office is something that is responsible to do that for us. And I know that over the years we have seen, you know, really I would say as a community leader now, the confidence that people have in the regional office and the Chiefs of Ontario has eroded, and that's not acceptable. We need somebody that can manage that, bring that back together and find solutions and create opportunities for all of our people, your people, and all of our nations. Because I know that the world here in Turtle Island is not getting any easier. The challenges that we face, diversity that we have in our communities is great. And that's across, whether it be here in this region, the next region. And I believe that, you know, we have to have those strong voices at Queen's Park in Ottawa to advocate for you, create the relationships, and be more proactive. And so with that, I will say that it's a great honor to be here, and I'm hoping that I can receive some support from you at the next upcoming election in June 12th in the Six Nation territory. Down go.
Rich, thank you very much, Grand Chief Benedict. So I actually gave you 3 minutes, so I'm going to give everybody 3 minutes. Travis Buzzino.
Morning. Can I do 5 minutes of acknowledgements and a few, and then I'll do the 3 minutes of a sales pitch? Good morning, everybody. Travis Buzzino, for those of you who don't know me. 1998, I had the honor of joining NAN. I was privileged and invited by Charles Fox, who was Grand Chief at the time, who hired me and invited me to be a summer student. And since then, I've had the honor of working for NAN communities in various capacities. And most recently, I had the honor of joining the executive, Grand Chief Fiddler and Deputy Grand Chief Bobby, Deputy Grand Chief Anna Betty, formerly Deputy Grand Chief Fox, and now Deputy Grand Chief Linklater. But I had the honor of joining the team at that level and shaping, or helping shape, and with the support of the executive, the organization in a way that could, as Grand Chief Pillar said at the time, I haven't heard him say in a while, but I know he still means it, but to travel light and fast. We built a team, I thought, that was very supportive of the mandate that you give the organization, the mandate that you give the executive, and just creating those relationships with you directly, with your communities, and with the tribal councils. I know that tribal councils play a strong role in your communities in very different capacities, and it's been an honor, over the past, I guess, 26 years, to have worked with. I am registered in Garden River, but I have bloodlines in Mushkegowuk, and I had the honor of meeting with the Mushkegowuk leadership last week. For some reason in Rama, but that's where we were, having a good time. And my work, Fordish Tabiaski Nation, my work with your communities, it's been an honor, and it's really where I learned and fell in love with politics. I had the honor of being on youth councils in my younger years, where I got to learn more about the Anishinaabeg, which I was formerly a deputy grand chief over there, and really just to get at the table, to sit at the table, to sit with you, because I knew that being the chief administrative officer, I loved the work, but I also knew my limitations, and I understood my role. And then learning from the executive, learning from previous leadership, that gets you excited to sit at the table and sit across from ministers, and to really how much time do I have? Oh, geez. And to really do the hard work and to have the difficult conversations. So what I'm committed to, is to creating those relationships. And I have a slogan, and it's a vote for me is a vote for us. And I plan on doing similar work that I've done here. So thank you.
Very good. Miigwech. Thank you, Travis. Next, I'll call upon Dean Sayers.
Bonjour. Anin Kinawea, Mugaman Namanagojing Guayakasip Chinakaz. I'm Dean Sayers, and I'm from the other end of Lake Superior here in somewhat, we consider it Northern Ontario. I'm from the Crane clan, and my name talks about flying with tilted wing. And that's really important for my people coming from the hereditary chieftain clan. And my family have been involved for a millennia in leadership. And my name is Flies with Tilted Wing. My job is to look at the world from a unique perspective, to give our people, because we get kind of complacent, we get stagnant, and we always got to be open to thinking outside of the box and shifting gears. So miigwech for having me this morning, Gamak. And I want to thank the elder for those, once again, beautiful words to help with my work. And it's so wonderful to hear you and all of our work that we do. The drum, it's always nice to have the drum. I sing with a group and a lot of stuff at home with ceremonies, and it's so nice to be a part of culture and share culture with all of you this morning. Your executive, thank you for welcoming us and making some time for us to be able to speak to the leadership here in NAN. Such an important body, such an important collective as we look at our territories here across Ontario. I'm really excited about the possibilities in being your spokesperson, your representative at COO. And I say that with all seriousness. This is a really, really crucial time we are in with our relationship with the settlers on our lands. I put out on your tables my pamphlet that outlines a lot of the things that I've been able to champion, a lot of first time things. I was chief in Batchewana almost 20 years, And before that, I was just thinking about it this morning, back in the day in the early 90s, looking at, if you recall, revenue res when taxation issues, we were in Buffalo, New York, blocking the Peace Bridge, stopping the traffic, and not me, but other people jumping on cars, stopping them because they wouldn't listen. And it was so hard. In the middle of that bridge, there's the United Nations lands, and that's where we tried to protest, but so we wouldn't get arrested. But like standing up for border rights, standing up for we have our own logging system in Botswana based on our assertion of jurisdiction. We don't take a license from Ontario. We believe we should be giving licenses to Ontario. We have jurisdiction. Your treaty that you have, your treaties, because there's lots, need to be reflected in the relationship with Canada. Your individuality as your rights, your obligations, your hopes need to be respected in leadership. And I'll do that, and I'll reflect you well and do the best I can to work with the new governments on our lands to make sure your hopes come to fruition. So miigwech for having me today, and I'll be around if you have any questions. Miigwech, 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 miigwech.
Thank you very much. Before you please stay seated just for a second, I'm going to call upon Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler.
Yeah, miigwech, I just want to say miigwech to the three of you on behalf of this assembly for being here, for putting your name forward to take on this very important role of being the regional chief for Ontario. I also just want to acknowledge the two candidates that are not here, the current regional chief, Glenn Hare, and also the chief from Grassy Narrows, Chief Rody Turtle was here briefly yesterday. And just to wish you well in your endeavors, and also just to let the chiefs know from NAN that we are planning to have a caucus briefing, a caucus meeting when we get to Six Nations for the assembly. That I think it's on that Wednesday morning. I think we'll have a 6 a.m. breakfast caucus meeting. So we'll send you a notice once we find a venue, the space where we can have a discussion in terms of the Ontario Regional Chief race. So we'll send you that notice once we arrange everything. But again, just to say thank you to you. It's not an easy thing, putting your name forward for any position, especially the one at a regional level. So I wish you well and your families. Safe travels as you go around the region. I know you're driving and flying and trying to cover a lot of territory. So I want to wish you safe travels and all the best. And we will see you in Six Nations in a couple of weeks. Miigwech.
Actually, candidates, if you can just sit down again. I get a chance to boss them around for a bit here. No. Chiefs, this is your assembly. And I'm told that a chief or two may have a question. So, okay, Chief Batiste.
Hello, it's me again. Yeah, I got a question. You know, the big issue that we're having in Ontario, all of Ontario, is the citizens by the Métis Association. And we started this court case off at the Wabi Tribal Council because they were trying to assert their jurisdiction within our homeland. I would just like to know, what is your take on that? Where do you stand with that? Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Batiste. I'll start at the other end. Dean Sayers.
Miigwech Gima. I completely support the challenge that we are putting forward in regards to this, in my mind, this delving into an area that Canada has no business. Canada can't give any rights to anybody. We, as the original people, gave rights to Canada. We delegated authority to Canada. Canada did not get a blank check to do whatever they want and give special rights anywhere. We reserve the right to consider a delegation of authority and any special relationships on our lands. I completely support the opposition to Bill C-53, and I've spoken many times with our chiefs in our area in the treaty territory, the Robinson Treaty Territories, and I would speak reflecting your thoughts and your unique perspective from this particular area, because there's no one size fits all in Ontario, and I'd be happy to work with everybody to make sure that we get the right position and messaging out there, Chief.
Miguel, Travis Buzzino.
Thank you, Chief. I think all three of us have been a part of the conversation at the Chiefs of Ontario level. We definitely, well, I should say but I definitely support the positions that the province is taking as a whole. We were actually just in Winnipeg last week or 2 weeks ago, where Chiefs of Ontario and a delegation did a joint gathering with the Métis or the Manitoba Métis Federation, who is also against Bill C-53 and against the whole concept of MNO and what MNO is doing. It's been interesting to read all the research in terms of how MNO is actually gathering membership, and my family is even a part of the membership because they signed, I think, a supportive declaration back in the 1800s. So no matter what, if you somehow supported the Métis 100 years ago, they made you a part of their family and made you a part of the organization. And even till this day, I've had, personal contacts that have, First Nation ancestry, but because of our own struggles in terms of membership at times, they just go to MNO and MNO says, yeah, okay, yeah, you're a member. So a big part of the problem isn't just a bill, but it's also dealing with organizations like MNO. And what I'm committed to, and what I've had some conversations with, is post gathering last week in Winnipeg, is they did a declaration and they made a commitment to move forward. But I think we've all written letters. I think we've all got frustrated collectively, and then we all went back to our communities and just continued on with the work. But what I'm committed to is that I know there's a strong team specifically on this file at Chiefs of Ontario, and I know they're committed to continuing the work. I know that we're committed to ensuring that declaration isn't just a declaration, that the mandate to move forward with addressing Bill C-53 continues to move forward, but also how do we deal with MNO? How do we deal with organizations like MNO? And they continue. I say I've had some conversations with leadership where MNO is doing a really good job, and they get all these resources, but they're not busy like you are. They're not busy dealing with crisis after crisis. They're not busy, trying to fix doorknobs on homes. So they use all the resources for strategists, and then they get into the governments here, and somehow they get their way, right? So now there's Bill C-53, but I think what we have to do is commit to working together. And a part of my campaign has been, I'm committed to being a voice, but I'm more committed to being a voice with you. So when we, when there's issues that we have to address, we have to address it. So we have to commit to dealing with organizations like MNO as well. But I fully support the work that Wabin's done. I know you've invested a lot of money and a lot of time, and I was happy to see Chiefs of Ontario jump on board. And I think there is some good work being done, but there's still much more work to do.
Yawan, for the question. Well, I support everything that the other two candidates have said, and it's completely unacceptable what is going on. And I think that, as Travis has mentioned, the MNO has nothing to lose but everything to gain. And frankly, that's on the backs of the work that we are either doing for leading ways in our communities, or claiming inherent rights that they don't have. And there's no doubt that there are Métis that exist, but the MNO, the government of Canada, has continuously recognized these groups that have no rights or have no connection to the land, and now we see them getting agreements for shared revenue sharing agreements, land use agreements, things like that. It's completely unacceptable. And as Travis has alluded to, the MNO, the other organizations that claim to be Métis that have no legitimacy, they're heavily advocating and lobbying Ottawa and Toronto and Queen's Park. And as you know, as I mentioned in my speech earlier, I mean, the work that we have to do as chiefs is never ending. There's good work and there's difficult work that's happening on the ground, but there are advocacy groups like the MNO who are creating relationships with the federal government and receiving rights and resources that they have no entitlement to. And the regional advocacy body, the AFN, play a role in this. And that's what they should be doing, is looking out for the rights of our nations and of our people. It is our jobs as community leadership to protect our nations, our community, and serve them. It's very difficult to today's day and age to ensure that we know what's going on in Ottawa and in Queen's Park and what legislation is happening being put forward. I have a senator that lives in our territory, in the city next to us, and she called me up and she said that they get endless emails from people from the Métis Nation encouraging the senators to pass Bill C-53. That's unacceptable because we don't have the time as community leaders. And as a regional office, that's what we should be doing. We should be creating those relationships, telling those stories, and making sure that we're safeguarding the nationhood, the jurisdiction, and the sovereignty of all of our communities across this region. And that's what the work that I'll do if elected as the regional chief. So,
Yeah, Miigwech, thank you.
Just one more question. Yeah, because, when you look at the whole situation, it's a violation of our treaty rights. What is your thoughts with that, with the violation of our treaty rights of our sort of sovereign nations, our First Nations Acts registered?
So I'll start in the opposite order.
well, it definitely is. I mean, it's a violation of the historical relationship that we have with the Crown and the obligation they have to our people. And they've continuously violated that. They've eroded the trust that we have with them, and we have to hold them accountable. And I think that part of the regional office's work is to educate the members of parliament in in their obligations to our people, to the treaties that we have with the Crown. This is what they inherited as being a sovereign nation, is those obligations, and it's a respect issue as well. And they need to continuously be informed. Unfortunately, the people, what I've always said to the government is that the people sitting across the table continue to change, but the people sitting here representing our nations will not change. We will be always Nishnawpik. We will always be Mohawk. Those will not change, but the people sitting across, whether it be the elected leadership, the bureaucrats, the prime minister, they will change. And it's the regional advocacy body's job to make sure they're keeping those decision makers in those systems, those foreign governments, educated on what those obligations are as being the government.
My answer to question number 2 remains the same. It's frustrating time and time again where we're dealing with both levels of government, especially the current government, that literally has no respect for your treaty and really your advocacy efforts. And sadly, a lot of the successes of First Nations has been in the courtrooms. So I think that, as we continue this work, how do we bring things like this to a courtroom? We did that more recently on the enforcement and prosecution of First Nation laws. You sit across the room, you share your story, they understand your story, but they ignore your story. And then we end up in courtrooms. So I haven't I haven't heard any real dialogue in terms of how to bring something like this in the court, but we have to continue to protect our treaty rights, and as Grand Chief Abrams said, we have to continue to even educate ourselves. Right, we have young leaders watching us. We have young leaders growing with us in this work, watching this work. And we have to continue to find new ways to protect our treaty rights. But all that to say, I agree with you. This relationship with this government, in terms of them understanding what our treaties are and our treaty rights, and then how they go and create these other relationships with other organizations like the MNO, completely infringes and even disrespects the relationship that we have. No one even fully understands where C-53 came from. So they were doing all this quiet work without discussing with us But when we have treaty discussions that we want to have with them, we got to go through processes, we got to go to courtrooms, we have to do all these things. So I look to, the leadership, I look to the expertise to really help frame a strategic way to continue to hammer the message home.
Miigwech Gima. When I go to Toronto and I'm walking down the street, a lot of Canadians will come up to me and say, "Are you Indian? Can I get a picture of you?" And then I don't mind because it gives me a chance to educate people that yes, we're here. And did you know that since you're a new Canadian, you have obligations, you have things that you need to do in respect of our treaties. There are treaties here. And I was one of the lead negotiators for the $10 billion settlement for the $4 a year issue with our treaty. And we signed a non-disclosure agreement at the beginning because Canada and Ontario said, Canadians are not prepared. They cannot take this. They won't be able to fathom, swallow this whole increase in money to Indians again. So we need to be more calculated in education. We have to be more calculated in how we deal with treaty implementation because we neglected it. We need to be visible. We need to be making statements. We need to educate. We need to change curriculum. We as leadership at the Ontario regional level, at the AFN level, need to be visible and understand your expectations in your communities. We need to be in your communities in the north. We need to hear the uniqueness that I heard as I went around here this morning and as I went to all the different tribal council meetings in the last while. You're saying you need to be visible. You need to hear what we need in our area, what you need in Sault Ste. Marie or in Kingston or in other parts of Ontario isn't what we need in the north. We need you to come up here. So I'll commit to being here with you and I'll stand with you and we'll make statements and we'll educate Canadians because our relationship with the Crown is sacred. I'm not Canadian. I have a relationship with them and I don't think we should be resolving our treaty relationship issues in their court where it's all swearing allegiance to their side of the treaty. We have to look at international mechanisms. So Miigwech for the question, Gima.
Miigwech, thank you very much. I'm getting hints that we have an agenda to deal with and we need to get back to our issues. But I'm not going to rush anybody. Miwe? Miwe? No, Chief Memakwa.
Good morning. My community is Wanaman Lake. Last year, I had a letter from Ministry of Mines to tell me that there will be a prospecting group to do the work in a few kilometers from my community. And we forwarded our opposition to this. Ever since I haven't heard from them, but I don't know what their next step are. So my question to you, if I need support to address our concerns, what kind of support would you provide my community?
We'll start from the other end. Dean Sayers.
Miigwech Gima. I've been chief a long time and in Batchewana up till last July. And there was always these mining companies, these developers that were coming into our territories. We did a full page assertion in the Toronto Star, Sudbury Star, Thunder Bay newspaper, Ottawa, saying no more stealing from us. If you want to have some development, some interest in our territory, you need our permission. Yeah, we have a lot of unresolved issues, but to start with, you need our permission. No more consultation, no more meaningful accommodation. You need our permission. We will aspire to what we reserved in our treaty as far as development is concerned. And we've done that. We've had mining companies come and talk to us. We have our own environmental assessment process now outside of the stolen jurisdictions of Canada and Ontario with implementation of their environmental assessment processes. And when I went to a mining conference way back in the day in Niagara Falls, and I just went to the mic and said, I need this mic turned on and I need to speak. And I said, if you as investors from around the world want certainty for your investors in the mining industry, you need our permission. Don't believe Canada and Ontario because they can't guarantee you certainty. We can, as the original peoples of these lands. You have a lot of value. You have a lot of power. And we all need to use that power and take control of our own destiny as far as how our mother, the earth, is going to feel the effects of these encroachments from mining and how we need to work together to support each other and bring these issues to light. Canada loves it that we're not making statements. We need to make statements and we need to take back the jurisdiction. We need to reclaim our control that we were given as inherent responsibilities. Miigwech, come on.
I know, no, a lot of time has passed and you have an agenda to get to, so I'll try and be quick. If you feel like blocking a road, I'd be happy to join you. It's you know, I had the privilege and the support of Grand Chief Fiddler at the time, but I went down to Standing Rock and we were there knocking down fences and stopping pipelines to a certain extent. But when you look at, like the regional bodies, we have a responsibility, and I think it's like two things in its simplest form. One is, as a regional chief, I would be happy to lean on your tribal councils. I'd be happy to lean on the executive of Anishinaabe Nation in terms of, getting advice and direction along with you as communities, regional bodies. And, I know Chief Wesley was dealing with this or still is, recently in a sense of, we were at the Chiefs of Ontario Assembly and his community was handing out pins. So I asked him, I said, do you have support from Chiefs of Ontario yet? And he said, no. So, we got staff to help him get at least a support resolution, but I don't know where that support resolution went, but Chiefs of Ontario's responsibility and the position of ORC's responsibility is to follow up and take action. So if you have support resolutions, if you want to stop a mine, if you want to get into these engagements, our responsibility is to support you and help, make difficult decisions and support them and act on them. But in its simplest form, I'd be happy to go for a walk on your land. But I'd also be happy to ensure that you have those regional supports, and those are, the usuals. You have the letters, the meetings with ministers and so on and so forth. But mining is a complex issue. You have some good work being done in different places all around Ontario. And I think I think my final comment would be, like at the Chiefs of Ontario level, we need to have difficult conversations, and they don't have to be, on camera. It can be in camera, and people can share the good work that is being done and how it is being done, like in Waban. But then there's other areas that just don't want mining. But I think we can find a good conversation amongst each other just to understand what everybody's doing. We don't have to agree, but we can learn. And to me, that's the importance of having these conversations. I know you've had some difficult conversations over the past day and now almost day and a half, but in terms of the final settlement agreement. But that's the importance of these regional, or the importance and value of these regional organizations. And we could go on camera. You could learn what's going on in Southern Ontario. You could go learn what's going on in Treaty 3. But really, it's just a learning exercise, and to see what they're doing good, what they're not doing good, what you could possibly do, and what you can possibly don't do. And we don't have to agree, but we can learn. So.
For the question, and I think that I support what both candidates have said as well. And there definitely is a gap in knowing what regulations and what legislation is happening and how that's changing. We now know that it's much more easier to exploratory companies to mark areas that they want to start mining without very minimal, or sometimes with no consultation to the community. So that definitely is the role of the regional office to make sure that they're keeping a pulse on what's happening. The other thing is that, you know, if specifically to your community, obviously would be there to support you whatever way that I can, or that the regional office can. There needs to be meetings, you know, with my strategy around issues that are, you know, highly political or challenging is to surround, you know, the bureaucracy, the ministries, with people who are either decision makers or at least help influence the decisions. And I think that, you know, that includes meetings or information sessions with the minister, the deputy minister, members of provincial parliament, including members of parliament, the opposition, so that everybody understands, you know, what what the opposition is and why. I mean, this is definitely a decision of the community why they want to go into mining or why they don't. And obviously, the general response has been that, oh well, the community's against it again, and there are good reasons why, and that it's in, you know, we need to ensure that we're educating the neighbors, the province, the members of parliament, members of provincial parliament as to why, and so that solutions can be found. Because it's not just a no; it's a no. This is why, and perhaps this is an alternative, and that really is, you know, the regional body should be helping support your community in moving those in that path. You know.
Migwich, thank you very much to the three candidates, and of course, they'll be here for a bit. If you want to go and ask some questions, I think they'll be out in the hall. Some will be around for lunch. So with that, I'd like to acknowledge Dean Sayers, Travis Busno, and Grand Chief Abram for joining us. So with that, Migwich, thank you. So at this point, we will continue on with our agenda from yesterday. Of course, we were in camera. While we are being webcast, I know folks back home are listening and sometimes don't realize some of the reasons why we have to go in camera. It was explained yesterday. We're talking about the provisional final settlement agreement. There are negotiations, national negotiations underway. And right now they are internal, they are confidential, but this is an opportunity for chiefs to advocate for, fight for, speak on behalf of their communities and their community members. But it has to be internal because we don't want the other side hearing the discussion. It's not about hiding from our people. It's about preventing the other party from hearing our internal discussion. So we'll go back in camera. I need a motion to go in camera. Is there a motion to go in camera? Just need an arm raised. That's all I need. Okay. We have a mover. All in favor? Thank you. So we will now go in camera. If I can have the webcast turned off. Those joining